Hi, I'm Blisy. Hey guys, if you enjoy this video, I appreciate a like, comment, sub, and little bell notification. Thanks so much, enjoy. Hey everyone, this is just going to be a top 5 of the hardest Pokemon to RNG abuse and that I've RNG abused. A lot of people seem to think RNG abuse just gets you a free Pokemon of perfect stats, shininess, no matter what, and it's just simply not the case. Some of these are super difficult to get correctly, so without further ado, let's get into the list. So the first one is going to be hidden Grotto abuse in Black and White 2, and this is difficult for a number of reasons. The first of which is that the timer 0 in Black and White 2 shifts very frequently and it's very much out of your control. So oftentimes you'll start the RNG and you'll do the whole process, which involves RNGing what's in the thing, and then once that is done you have to RNG the stats of what is in the Grotto. So that's very annoying. And those two steps can be constantly interfered with by incorrect timer zeros, and you won't know that the timer 0 is wrong until you get to the end of the RNG process when either the wrong Pokemon is there or it has the wrong stats. And to top it all off, it's a bit tedious because you have to walk 254 steps at first to check to make sure, because it generates a 255 steps. So it's tedious, lots of randomness, and to top it all off, you gotta do it twice. So that's why it takes the number 5 spot. The number 4 spot is going to be going to Egg RNG in Emerald, and the reason it's so low despite how difficult it is you literally only have to do it for Clefable with Magic Guard and Soft Boiled. I don't think there's any other Pokemon that you should do this for, but if you want this, it's super tedious. So you have to get 2 Spindas, hatch the Spindas, line the Spindas up, like their spots up with the Spinda Painter thing, and then once all that's done, you can actually begin the RNG process, and once you do that, it's another 2-part process, which makes it extra tedious. And on top of all of that, you have to save every time after the egg is generated, because if you don't save, because you can't do the second portion of the RNG for the stats, because the stats are generated separately from the egg. And if the egg messes up, which is very easy to do because Emerald goes at 60 frames per second, if you mess the egg up, then you have to do it all over again. And that sucks. You also have to hatch it really quickly, and the only way to hatch fast with that in this game is with the, there's no like items to boost hatching speed like in Gen 6 and 7, so you just have to have a Flame Body Pokemon. So it's very similar to the Hidden Grotto in that you have to do 2 RNGs, it's super tedious, and it's very, very easy to miss your frame because you're not going to get multiple frames to do it like in Sun and Moon. You're only going to get 1 frame. So, and to top it all off, you could just get alternate splits because Emerald could just do that to you. You could get alternate, or you could get split frames. So, yeah, those are the reasons why this takes the number 4 spot. So the 3rd spot goes to Dream Radar RNG abuse with RNG Reporter. So it's still pretty hard with PPRNG, but that's a Mac only program, and a lot of people don't have Macs. So I showed how to use this in my video with RNG Reporter, and the process is very complicated and very involved. You have to do a lot of searching on your own to figure out which frames you can properly hit, which frames you can't hit, because you can only hit like every other frame, and you can't alter the natures with a synchronizer or anything like that, so you have very limited options. And you have to play through the entirety of Dream Radar to do this, so you have to play through Dream Radar to get these Pokemon if you want them. And if you mess it up, if your spinner is off by even 1, it's permanent. You'd have to restart your Black and White 2 versions and your Dream Radar version. So with the challenging way, you have to work with RNG Reporter, and that makes it very difficult to be sure that your spinners are correct. And the permanence of this, I put this at number 3, because and the usual Black and White 2, your timer 0 just decides to not work properly. So that's why this takes the number 3 spot. So I had a really hard time deciding what to put in the number 2 spot, but I ultimately decided with Type Null and Sun and Moon. This is pretty close between what number 1 is going to be and what number 2 is. So Type Null, I only put it number 2 because if you're not going for a shiny, it's significantly easier, but it's still insanely hard. You're going for a shiny, usually only have 1 or 2 frames, and there's 8 NPCs around, so that means the RNG advances 8 times as quickly, and it's very, very, very easy to miss your target frame. Without going for shiny, you'll often have bigger frame windows, but it's still very, very difficult because of how quickly the frames advance because of all of these NPCs. And again, if you're not using NTR, which I never do, it's pretty inconsistent. Like it literally took me 6 months to get the shiny, like with on and off. It was basically a shiny hunt. It just with a little more precision. That's how difficult it is to get type null shiny. I actually just like don't recommend doing it unless you really want a shiny type null. And so, I mean, Sun and Moon RNG is very simple, so that's just it. There's 8 NPCs, it advances the RNG 8 times as much as anything else in the game, and you have very limited frames to go for, especially if you're aiming for a shiny. So that's why this takes the number 2 spot. Before we take the number 1 spot, I'm going to do some honorable mentions. This is going to go to the Roamers in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, because you have to beat the entire Elite Four to get to them, and if you mess it up, you have to beat the entire Elite Four again. And there's no way to do the Elm calls to verify your what seeds you're on, so you have to be very good with the Chadots. I think the Chadots are very easy to do, but the reason this is an honorable mention is because of the high cost of having to do the entire Elite Four, which even if you have like a level 100 and you just plow through it, can still take like 10 minutes. So that sucks. And you have to battle Lance after, and then you have to find the thing. You have to battle Lance after you do the RNG, then you have to find the thing, and if it's not shiny, well, that's it. So it's not really difficult, it's just super tedious. And the other honorable mention is going to go to the legendary birds in Pokemon Platinum. And that's for very similar reasons. You have to see the entire regional decks to even get them to show up. And then you have to kill the other 2 and you can't RNG them all at once, really. You have to RNG them one at a time, so you have to get the one you want, kill the other 2, go beat the Elite Four, and then do it all over again. So that's why these get the honorable mention, because not that they're difficult, but they're just super duper tedious. Okay, and the number 1 hardest thing to RNG, for me, in my opinion, that I've done, is the Roamers in Black and White 1, Thundurus or Tornadus. These things are insane. I cannot believe I got a shiny one. So, the reason this is so difficult is because during the RNG, there's a huge cutscene that happens with moving NPCs and rain that advances the frames like insane. A complete insane amount of RNG advancement that is completely out of your control, and it's not consistent. I think the snow, if it's snowing that month, it can also mess it up. Like, so you have to find a frame where it will not be there will be no weather in your time of the month, because if there is weather, it advances the RNG even more. And then there's the storm that Tornadus or Thundurus creates, which is always there, but still it varies quite a bit. Then you have to find it, and it's not like in Gen 4 where the thing is just in your Pokedex and you can check what route it's on. No, you have to use the stupid little hallways to see what route it's on. It's very frustrating, and I cannot explain to you how difficult it was to get this RNG, to get it to be shiny. And if you want it to be shiny, your best chance is to do an ID RNG, so you probably have to beat the whole frickin' game over again. So yeah, I think this is the hardest thing to RNG. It's super tedious, super irritating, but very satisfying once you got it, especially if you go for the shiny one, which unlike Type Null, I recommend doing this because I think it's doable. I think it's super satisfying, and the Pokemon are much better than Type Null in terms of usability. Both of them are usable in OU. So, thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this kind of listing, I might do them every now and then, but it would only be content pertaining to this channel. I'm not going to do another PokeTuber kind of thing where I just go on Bulbapedia or Smogon and read off a list of crazy Pokemon or whatever. I would only do this kind of thing for the content that I cover on my channel, like RNG abuse or tutorials or something like that. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next video.